Hi folks, we're going to do solving percent equations, and this is D2 from Algebra 1. So let's get started. I have a calculator handy just in case, but hopefully I won't need it. We want a percentage of 74 is equal to 37. There's lots of ways of looking at this. Basically, this is asking for x over 100. That's what this literally means, is per 100 of 74 is equal to 37. And there's a whole bunch of ways of doing this. Some people like to do is over of. This is 37. So you're taking 37 over 74. Sorry, 74, I said that. Is equal to x over 100. We want to find the percentage that 37 is of 74. And you can cross multiply, but before you do that, you might want to simplify. 37 goes into 74 two times. Now I have 1/2 is equal to how many percent? And of course we can see that we have to multiply by 50. So you have to multiply by 50 and get 50%. Now I don't put the percent because it's already included. This one is the same thing. It's is over of. Equals is the is part. Some people think of it that way, is over of. We really want to know 63/70 is what percent? And this reduces by dividing by 7. That's 9 over 10, which happens to be 90%, because 9/10 is equal to 90 over 100. I multiplied by 10. You could also cross multiply and get the same thing. What is 70% of $10? Of indicates multiplication. That's what it means. So we're taking $10 and we're multiplying it by 70%, or 70 cents if you like. And that moves the decimal one place, and that is 7. And it's $7 actually. If you like, I multiplied by 10 and moved the decimal one place. $60 of 25. Well, there's lots of ways to go. For 60%, this means 60 over 100. And when I reduce that, I'm dividing by 20. So this is 3/5. Now I automatically do that because I think of fifths as 20 cents each. So I'm taking 3/5 of 25. Now some people are going to absolutely insist on multiplying, which is fine. You're taking 60 cents and multiplying it by 25. It's actually easier to multiply with the single digit on the bottom. So if you multiply it 25 times 0.60, it makes it easier. But hopefully you notice that the fractions are actually quite a bit faster. 5 goes into 25 5 times. This is actually 25 over 1, and you get 15. I could multiply this one, and I get 0, 0, 3, 0 to, let's see, 0, 0 to 12, which is 15, 0, 0, and I have 2 decimal places. This one was easier. We have a 0, carry the 3. That's 12, which makes 15 and 2 decimal places. So lots of ways to go. Not necessary to do all the steps. 20% of 100 is 20. We're asking 20 100ths times 100. And of course the 100s cancel. 25%. So 1/4 of some value is 7. Multiplying by 4 on both sides gives you x equals 28. You can think of, if you're looking at 1/4 of a number and you get 7, you could also do the 0.25 and do the decimal division, but that's going to be a lot uglier. Dividing by 0.25 is the same as multiplying by 4. What percent of 30 is 21? So we want to know x over 100 is equal to 21 over 30. Again, I did is over of, or 21% over 30 is equal to x over 100. Divide by 3. You get 7/10 is equal to x over 100. And of course, we had to multiply by 10 to get here. And we get 70. What is 100% of 20,000? Well, it's all of it. I don't think you're supposed to put the comma in there. Oh, 140,000 over 700,000. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it as a fraction. 140,000 over 700,000. And I'm dividing by 10, dividing by 10, dividing by 10, dividing by 10. And now I'm going to divide by 7. So I get 2 over 10, which is 20%. It says to write it as a decimal and include the percent sign. So it's 20%. 70% of 90,000. So we're going to take 90,000 and we're going to multiply it by 70 over 100. So many ways to go. I think I might do it like this. This 100, this is being multiplied, by the way. This 100 cancels out 2 of these. And 70 times 900. 70 times 900 is 63 with 1, 2, 3 zeros. And it seems reasonable. 63,000 is most of 90,000, which is 70%. 60% of 7 million. So 60 over 100 times the 7 million. That has 6 zeros. We're going to cancel out 2 of them. And we end up with 42. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, one more. Which is 4,200,000, which is more than half of 7 million. There we go. Boy, they like these big numbers. That's okay though. 32 over 80. What I did was I divided by 10 4 times, or divided by 10,000 if you like. And I'm going to divide by 8. That gives me 4 over 10, which is 40%. 40 over 100 if you like, 40%. All of these are exactly equivalent. There's no difference between any of them. Basically, you always want to get everything over 100. That's the trick, to get a percent. And it says to use the percent sign. Ooh, this one looks like a tough one. 245 is 196%. Notice the decimal goes right there of what number, x. So you're dividing by 1.96. This is one of the few cases where I would actually just grab a calculator. I could play with the numbers. 255 is divisible by 3. 196 is not, so it's looking kind of ugly. I'm going to go ahead and give it a try here and see what I get. 250. Should I turn it on? 255 divided by 1.96. And I get 130.1. Is that right? It's 196 by 1. Oh, 245. I can't read today. Bad eyes. Sorry about that. 245 divided by 196. There we go. $1.25. And I didn't divide by 1.96. I divided by 196. So it's 125. Sorry about that. Decimal places. Does 125 sound reasonable? This is 245 is almost double 125 because 200% of 125 is 250. So does it seem reasonable that 245 is 196%? And it does. It seems reasonable. So I'm talking about 125. Calculator was very helpful in that problem. I really didn't feel like doing division today. 23%. Sorry. Dang it. I'm just going to rewrite it. 23% of 63. Oops. Dang, I'm really messing it up. 63, we're taking of, so it's multiplied, times 0.23. And we can do the multiplication. That's 9, 18, 0, 6, 12, 14, 49, and 2 decimal places. 14.49. I'm going to check it with my calculator just to do it. 63 times, I'm a little sleepy today apparently. 14.49, yep. A lot of times they have these work out evenly, but not this time. So I have 1.64, that's 164%, of x is 1248.04. And so I'm going to divide by 1.64. And again, I definitely wanted to have my calculator handy for this. 1248.04 divided by 1.64, which is 761. I figured it would work out evenly, but still. Now let's see if that makes sense. 164 is a little more than 1.5 times as big. So if you take half of this, or a little more than half of that, maybe 500, and add it on, it looks like it's about 12 something. So it looks pretty good. So 761. Basically, 164% is telling you 100%, which is the whole thing, and then 64% more. 1706 is what percent of 853? Now this is an improper fraction. We want this as x over 100. We can cross multiply and solve it. Looks like I'm getting a little lag here in my screen. I'll go a little slower. We cross multiply. 853 is equal to 1706 with a couple zeros. X, I said, divide by 853. And let's see if our number sounds reasonable. Doesn't seem like it, but let's check. 171. I said 170600 divided by 853. 200. Oh, didn't recognize it. Clearly this is double that one. Yep, goes in twice. 2 is 200%. The number sense is lagging, and we're supposed to use the percent symbol. Okay, so x over 100 of 249 is 448.2. I kind of like 448.2 over 249 equals x over 100. Either way, it doesn't matter. In this one, I'm going to multiply by 100 over 249. In this one, I'm going to cross multiply and then divide by 249. Either way, you can solve it this way. I basically said x percent. Oh, you can't see my little pointer here. X percent of is multiplied 249 is 448.2, or is over of, and we want to divide that. I'm just going to go ahead and do my division. 448.2 divided by 249. I get 1.8. That's 180%. So I just did the division and then multiplied by the 100 to change it to the percent. They only want me to write the 180 in there. And does it look like 448 is almost double 249? And it does. Double 249 is 498, so yeah, it's pretty close. 180% looks good. 390 is 104%. I'm going to write it as a decimal of what number? And divide by 1.04. Again, darn calculator. I don't like to use it, but it just makes life so much easier. We could divide this by, can't divide by 4. It's just not working nice. I'll divide it with the calculator. 390 divided by 1.04. 375. Just isn't very nice. And does that make sense? That 390 is a little more than 375, and it is. %, so we're just going to multiply the 5171 times the 39%. Using the calculator. 1 times 0.39. 20.1669. Now it says round to the nearest cent. So I get 20.1669, which of course rounds up. This is larger than 5 or larger, so it rounds it up to $20.17. Maybe it was a very nice sale. Let's put it in. Does this look like less than half? It does. This one is taking forever, isn't it? Oh, 187 and 1/8%. Wow, to the nearest cent. Okay, so we're going to take the 24.08. Now, I just happen to know that 1/8 is equal to 0.125. And 187.125 written as a percent. This percent symbol moves the decimal 2 places. So we're going to multiply this by 1.87125. 34.08, 45.0597 clearly rounds up to the 4506. Let's check our answer, make sure that it makes sense. This is almost double 24, and that's almost double 24. X% of 32 equals 34. So we could simplify this by dividing by 8, like this, divide by 4, 25, and 8, and then multiply both sides by the reciprocal. This is really 8 over 25, x is equal to 34. And I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. And unfortunately, 8 doesn't go evenly into 34. I can only divide by 2, and then I'm going to end up with some fractions. I'll do it. 8 goes in, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 34 17 times. And I still have to multiply 17 times 25 and divide by 4. Probably would have been easier just to go ahead and do it from the beginning. We want to know 32 with 34 on top. Remember, it's is over of, if you like. So 34 over 32 is 1.0625. And if I multiply this and divide by 4, I'm going to get 106.25. That's my x. This is my actual decimal for that fraction, and that is 106.25%. Does that make sense? That 34 is a little more than 32, and it does. I was thinking that one was going to be a little bit easier as far as the decimals go, but nope. Okay, this is percent of 23 cents. So we're going to take 23 cents and we're going to multiply by 1.2125. Remember, that percent is divided by 100, which moves a decimal and makes the number smaller by 2 places. And we're going to have to multiply that decimal. If you were going to do it by hand, you would want to reverse these, but I'm not going to do that. 1.2125 times 0.23. And that is 0.278875. And that rounds to 28. The 8 rounds it up. I don't think I need to put the 0 in. Does it make sense that 28 is a little more than 23? And it does. So we want to take 96 and multiply it by 1.4375. And again, I'd want to reverse that if I was doing it by hand. It's 138. Worked out nice. Let's see if it makes sense. We want it to be about 1.5 times as big as 96, and it is. Okay, about 1 1/3 of that, which is going to be about 1,200. So we're talking about 959. I'm going to multiply by 1.34. And then 2/5 is the 0.4, so it's going to give me an extra 4 on there. That is 134.4%. And I just moved it 2 decimal places over. $12.88 0.896. And we're supposed to round to the nearest tenth. The 10th place happens to be right there, so it's going to be 9. So it's going to be 1288.9. See if it makes sense. Again, I said it's a little more than a third of that. So add 300 to that and you get 12 something. It works out. Okay, so I got 60.75% of what number? 115.425. And we're going to multiply, is 60.75% of x. So I'm basically just going to divide by my decimal here. This is the same as 0.6075x is equal to 115.425. I'm going to do a really ugly decimal division. 0.425 divided by 0.6075, and I get 190. And let's see if it makes sense. 60% of 190 is about 115. It seems reasonable. Is over of 342 over 320. We want to change this to a decimal, and then we change that to a percent. 3.2 divided by 320. I got 1.06875, and write it with the percent symbol. So this is 106.875%. It doesn't say to round it. Now, I'm going to rewrite this just as an equation just to see if it works out. 342 is what percent of 320? So we're going to divide by 320 on both sides and multiply by 100, sure enough. And I'm supposed to write it with the decimal one, 106.875, and I'm supposed to put the percent in. It doesn't say to round it. Looks like maybe one or two more. Oh, that's better. 52 is what percent of 64? I said 64. 52 divided by 64, and that is 0.8125, which is 81.25%. Does that seem reasonable that 52 is most of 64, and it looks that way? And I'm supposed to write it with the percent sign. What? Oh, did it say to round it to the nearest tenth? I gotta read the questions. Dang. Okay. 302 is what percent of 160? Notice that the dollar signs simplify out and I get a decimal. Oh, how depressing. Divided by 160, I get 1.8875. This one does not say to round. It's 188.75%, which is almost double, which seems reasonable. 88.75. No rounding this time. Okay. 235 is what percent of 752? -0.3125. Round to the nearest whole number and include a percent sign. That is 31.25%, and it's just 31% when we round it. Gotta read my directions. And I'm supposed to include the percent sign. That's 657.16 times 1.8225. 657, 6 times 825. 1197.6741. Round to the nearest cent, which means I'm going to leave it alone. 1197.67. 1197.67, yes. And does that make sense? It's almost double. Yep. $348 is what percent of 192? 1.8125. Percent symbol is included. That's 181.25%. Doesn't say anything about rounding. Double check. Percent would be good. Double check my answer. Yep, looks okay. One more. 1763 is what percent of 1640? It's a little over 100%. 1.075, which is a little over 100%, 107.5%. It says to round to the nearest whole number, which is 108%. When you round it, this rounds up 108, and we're supposed to include the percent sign. And we're finally done. Oh my God, it was endless. It took 32 minutes, my goodness. I hope you all have a better time than I did. Hopefully you won't miss any. Good luck, folks.